Hey, this is MC117, and you are listening to the sound of my voice.
And mine as well. This is ProjektZero, and we're going to go ahead and run through our round 4 of the Nerdcore VPC reviews.
That's right, we have worked out the technical kinks in our recording, and we are back to talk to you about round 4, the sellout special. The call has come in, and your agent says we need you to crank out a radio hit and a plug spot for a station. And while you're at it, how about a jingle shilling for some product? So we got 8 entries this time, and I thought they were generally pretty good across the board.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I didn't actually hear a bad track this time around. I thought a few questionable decisions here and there, but
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I would. I mean, maybe it's the fact that there were only 8 of them, but I found it to be a pretty enjoyable listening experience.
It was my highest average score so far in the competition. I will say that. In any case, so the challenge does have 3 parts: the jingle, the spot, and the single. Specifically, they were looking for a less than 30-second jingle featuring chiptuner 8-bit elements. Just a quick little shout out, a couple seconds long for an imaginary radio station. And for the song, they were saying fun, easy to listen to, appropriate for mainstream audiences, engaging vocals, making people want to sing along, catchy hook. So this is kind of sort of hook round part 2.
Sure.
Just to recap, I will be reviewing only the vocalist on artistry, skill level, and overall delivery.
And I'll be drinking heavily while I try and critique some of the production elements, a little bit of the composition, just a couple of the producer sound choices for the most part, but a bit of the vocalist when they intersect into that mix. So,
what are you sipping on tonight, ProjektZero?
We are having the Dogfish Head Flesh and Blood IPA.
I think a strong choice. I'm drinking a cocktail of my own devising. This is half lemonade, half peach, and a shot of vodka. I call it the Sonic Screwdriver.
Nice.
Let's jump into it.
Sure. First track we had up tonight is Dangergrove with
Silverbulletsundown. And just so I know, since I can't hear it, are these going to be playing behind us as we chat?
They should be. We're going to be doing this off of SoundCloud, and
yeah, I couldn't find a zip this round. So,
yep. So just as a kind of heads up, I'm going to have to manually rewind these as we get to the end, so it might be a little janky in between. But I'll go ahead and let you kind of kick off with your thoughts on this one.
Sure. Dangergrove, this is a team I was really happy to hear from. I want to say, actually, a shout out to Clutch City Chaos. Sorry that they did not enter into this round. I was really looking forward to their track. So, not sure what happened there, but hopefully they're staying safe from the various natural disasters currently destroying our great nation. Maybe they'll be able to submit for round 5. It'd be good to hear from them again. But Dangergrove consistently has gotten my top marks for the round, and this is the first round where that was not the case. I thought the commercial and the plug were serviceable. The end of the plug made me chuckle. I really liked that. But ultimately, I would say this song did not feel catchy to me.
No.
And it's not necessarily that it's about darker subject matter, because I get that. I really actually appreciated the little caveat at the beginning of the lyrics that were posted on SoundCloud. And I appreciate not every song is going to be happy or poppy, but you can still be catchy. Let's talk about Hurt, right? That's a really catchy song that's not happy.
Yeah.
Both the 9 Inch Nails and the Johnny Cash version. But I don't know. I didn't feel like singing along to it. At first, I wasn't 100% sure which part was the chorus, like if it was the really repetitive bit or if it was a different part. I guess in the end it was, when I read the lyrics, it was just the repetition over and over. and it was just too repetitive.
Yeah.
So the chorus didn't have like, and I feel like I understand what Jesse was going for because I feel like everything he does is on purpose. So the chorus to me felt like just kind of running around in a cul-de-sac in your own head, like you do when you're up at 3 a.m. and you kind of like get lost in yourself. And so I understand that, but it also just, I don't know, it needed something that it didn't have. The auto-tune didn't work for me. This was the auto-tune round.
Yep.
Like so many teams did auto-tune.
I was gonna say it.
Yeah. And it ultimately, like, it wasn't a bad song. Like I thought it was good. I gave it better than average. But I would describe it like if you were gonna listen to an album that had this song on it, this is deep into the album.
Sure.
This is not a single.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I came down on this one. And it sounds like a lot of criticism for a song that I did like. I just didn't feel like it was appropriate for this challenge.
Yeah. To kind of chime in on my end, this kind of was my I'm not really feeling it round after I went ahead and said everything was good. I found the round to be actually like a really enjoyable listening experience, but there were a lot of choices I didn't like or personally wasn't feeling, and this kind of exemplifies that. We've kind of had this discussion a few times, but I think Jesse's tracks have always been centered around his vocals and kind of carried by them, and the production elements have always kind of been the weakest for the Dangergrove tracks. This was no exception, and kind of just continued a trend that's been going, I think, for the last 3 rounds straight now. Maybe 2. Their second round track was pretty solid, if I remember correctly. But this one felt the weakest of all, especially composition-wise. Like, the melodic hook is probably more repetitive than Jesse's vocal hook.
I just want to say round 2 for Dangergrove was I'm Actually Laughing.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the all-time great VPC songs and did win that round.
Nice. Yeah, I remember that one coming in strong. But so I guess this would be the second round where it's felt like the production has been pretty weak. But just a lot of these elements feel kind of paper thin this time around. Like there wasn't a lot of fleshed out work in this track, or nothing really felt well built. I don't know. This track didn't feel like it had a lot of depth to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an example of what you said before. Like, if Jesse's carrying the track and there's a round where he doesn't, what's left?
Yeah. And with a hook this repetitive from both the vocalist and the producer, like, it just becomes a grating listening experience. And then you throw auto-tune into the mix on it, and it just kind of gets annoying after a while.
Yeah, and, you know, there were some interesting things going on. Like, there's always interesting things going on in Dangergrove tracks, and I appreciate that. You know, I don't want to take away from it. It just wasn't my favorite that they've done. I feel like they've executed on a higher level.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I think that's kind of all that I really had for this one. I feel like it's a lot of negative for a track that I wasn't that firmly against.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like I want to say more nice things about it because I did like it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like their normal quality is so high that I feel like, you know, kind of I bring a lot of criticism when they don't quite hit those marks.
Sure, I can agree with that. And with that, why don't we
let's
kind of
talk
jump
about
ahead?
track 2? Yeah. So I have no idea doing It's a Hit in the Meta, a meta song.
Oh, yeah.
Let me hear from you on this one, because I know I got some things to say about it, but I want to hear if you've got nice things to say.
You and I had wildly different scores, or I guess kind of thoughts on this track. I'm kind of a sucker for moans. Like, it's quirky in a way that I enjoy. And to be honest, like, the production in this, or in these tracks that he's done, hasn't been as bad. I think there's a lot of solid production work that's been done for these songs. I also think that as a team, this team has made really good production choices. Think back to some of their earlier, like, pop or more sample-driven tracks, like, for what Moans is trying to accomplish, I think they've had great choices production-wise and even just general composition-wise. I can see that they kind of dropped the ball on this one. I don't really see what the idea of this track was. Like, normally a lot of Moans' tracks kind of have this cute or catchy idea where you can kind of see where they're coming from, and maybe it just didn't get executed very well. This time I don't see the thread quite as well. But the production work is still solid. And that's kind of the point that I wanted to come back to, is this one has a lot of good stuff kind of going on under the hood, and then Moans just kind of rides on top of it and flounders a little bit more than I'd like. But that's your domain, so I'll let you kind of cover Moans' component of this one.
Yeah, this one was a miss for me.
Yeah.
So I've mentioned before, and this is I respect that people feel differently about this, but for me, meta songs, a song about itself especially, it's really walking a tightrope, and I felt like this one, I wrote this song belly flops off that line. So I wrote like. First of all, the jingle was 53 seconds long. I looked at it, so it's like we're hugely over, the maximum time.
Yeah.
I was actually wondering at a certain point, like, is this actually the song? Like, is this the commercial or is this the song?
Right.
And then I figured it out. The bass sounded overpowering to me. The auto-tune wasn't working. This was like a make fun of the challenge song.
Yeah.
And like to me, first of all, like this was already done last year by Faded Rebellion with their kind of really polarizing mumble rap.
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked that song. I thought it was funny because I didn't even get that it was a joke at first. I was listening to it and I was trying to figure out what she was saying, and I had to look up the lyrics, and she just like mashed the keyboard for the lyric submission. And then I was, I get it. But like that was still a catchy song, and I could imagine it on the radio. This one, I don't know. I wasn't on board. Really with, I don't know, any of it. Like the spoken word at the end didn't work for me. I couldn't tell if that was the same vocalist or a different one.
Yeah.
The lyrics to that weren't posted, so I don't know if maybe it was freestyled. Radio shout out at the end didn't mention the team. It was just like some DJ bit, I guess. So I don't know. This one, it felt like a really thin joke that was stretched out for 4 minutes.
Sure. Well, we can wash that down with some store brand lube.
Let's not do that.
Let's use that for a segue. That's great.
But let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about a song that would crush at a live show.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Like, honestly, like, I don't feel like this is really a radio track. Like, at least not a drive-in-your-car radio track, like maybe internet radio.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as live shows, I feel like this would bring the house down. It reminded me of a lot of other songs, like a little bit. Like, so I feel like there's some songs that some people kind of are supposed to do. And this felt like one of those. This felt like a song that other people would not do as well as Lexicohm. So it's a smart choice of subject matter that this person can execute on a very high level. I would compare it to Baby Steps by Shubzilla, which I've seen done live, and
nice.
It brings the house down.
Yeah.
In the format of it, where it's like we're going to do a commercial, and then the whole song is actually still kind of a commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Gamecast from last year. Oh My and One Up. That's what this one reminded me of.
Yeah.
And that was a good song. Like, I still remember that one. It was catchy. And this was too. I thought the harmonies were on point. I thought the construction was really smart. You have 2 full verses and then a shorty little half verse at the end to wrap us up. The instrumental I thought was really well suited to the style of the song, where it's like kind of commercially commercial.
Yeah.
Like it's a commercial song, but it's like it sounds like a commercial too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like the spoken word intro was super necessary. The part where she goes, "Love," made my skin crawl a little bit. I think that was probably on purpose. There were some next level lyrics in this. I wrote one down. We'll help you get some sugar like a sexy Rubisco. Matt, you went to school. I wonder if you could explain for those like me who had to look up what Rubisco is.
I actually can't. Let's Google this while I do it clearly on the. Oh hey. Oh, that's
Oh,
really
I thought
cool.
you knew.
No, I had no
Because
idea.
you're a biologist, aren't you?
Yes, that doesn't.
Okay, yeah, I looked it up. Rubisco is some kind of chemical reagent used in the process of like photosynthesizing carbon dioxide into sugars that
Yep.
plants use. Um, that's some next level stuff.
Yeah.
Um, because I must criticize when I compliment, I do want to say rhyming jelly with jelly was pretty weak right after that. But on the whole, I thought that this song really, really hit hard. I thought it was a standout track for the round.
Yeah.
It knew what it wanted to be, and it totally crushed that goal.
However, speaking of Rubisco, why don't we go ahead and highlight
Rubisco.
that'll be our phrase that pays this week.
That's right. That's right. Got to get those money dollars.
So yeah, if you
as a
will.
thank you to anybody who's been watching all of our reviews, except for the review that will not be mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always have a phrase that pays, and for our final review, we're going to post a link to a Google submission, where if you enter in all 5 phrases that pays, you can get paid a $20 Amazon gift card if you're one of the people who is able to correctly submit all 5 phrases. Sexy Rubisco, round 4.
So, there you go, guys. I'll even Google it. What
You don't
on
have to
earth
spell
have
it
I
right.
done? There you go. There you go. I don't even... 117, you're gonna see this later, but I literally just Googled sexy Rubisco and clicked the first image that came up. It's, Alright, we're just gonna move along from that. And, yeah.
Tell me about the instrumentals for store brand lube.
For store brand lube. So, alright. 90s pop, right? Like, everything about this reminds me of so many 90s pop songs. Like,
Yeah.
for no good reason, too. Like, I Saw the Sign, a lot of, like, old school
Oh,
Spice
sure.
Girls, like,
Yeah,
the
Ace of
harmonies.
Base.
Like,
I think Ace of Base was the first CD I ever bought.
I was just like, man, there are so many just 90s pop, like, sugary kind of things in this to enjoy. You kind of hit it too. I think a lot of that was driven by the harmony, or the harmonies throughout the song. The bass didn't really feel terribly overpowering. Everything kind of felt nice and happy. I'm trying to remember. I can't.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
The mixing on this was one of my favorites from this group, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought that they really dived in.
To me, there are indisputably 3 groups that are just in the running for, like, the best mixing consistently in every single round.
You got to say Penzel Automatons, right?
Yep, that's one of them.
And I would guess you've really been liking what Danny DeVito's been doing.
Not as much. I'm not against it. Actually,
okay.
My third was going to be pretty good for the most part.
I was going to say pretty good would be the other contender.
Yeah. Although I will shout out to the, I guess, the Krunk clones that have been popping up for the last few rounds as well. Really solid production on those as well. But, yeah, I mean, just a lot of, like, really good 90s kind of vibes off of this that were really fun to kind of jam out to for a while. With that, we can jump on to maybe next week.
Maybe next week. Most of my love.
Yeah.
Tell me about the beat quote in this song.
Yeah.
Big foam rubber quotey marks. Imagine them on my hands.
Yeah.
Like those, you're number 1, but it's like.
It's funny too because like I haven't hated the production on these Jalamus tracks this time around so much, but
Now this was the first one that I really couldn't stand.
Really? Because
yeah,
man, I feel like if this was your like stopping point, like that's a weird stopping point, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really whacktacular. It was like extra double whack. The
Yeah.
drums were bad. The other drums were bad. The not drums were bad.
It's
Yeah,
funny too
the beat
because
was
the thing that kills me the
no.
most on this beat is the
Yeah. Go
gangster
ahead.
whine. Like the whine synth kills me. The
I can hear it in the
drums,
background
yeah,
through your mic.
which is probably a sign that I need to turn that down a little. But
No, the producer should have turned it down. That's what it's a sign of.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. I just those high pitched like whine synths like don't do it so much for me. The drums I didn't think were that bad. I'd be curious to kind of hear why you thought they were that bad, but
I don't know. They seemed so like click and drag basic drums on a really basic repetitive pattern.
mm,
I don't know. It's like if you're gonna have like a really sparse beat
yeah,
supported by drums, the drums must be supportive.
mm,
Like, there's got to be something there that you can hang your hat on. Otherwise, you just phoned it in.
yeah. I get it. Like I definitely hear you after you said it about it just kind of feels like somebody took FL Studio and kind of dragged a pattern in and then
Yeah, like
made a fill over it.
if I could do it, it's not good.
Well, yeah. And I guess that's the thing too, is like at some point, like a lot of production, or I think sort of a lot of being able to make a song good, is just being able to put the time and care into making it sound very human. Like making something sound like it was played through or, given attention to every note, even if it clearly was like synthesized or programmed, like
The song was 5 minutes and 25 seconds long.
yeah. Yeah, and by the way, there's auto-tune on it as well.
Oh yes.
So
Yep. And the only thing I have to say about the lyrics is that Jolimus rhymed girl with world. And I don't think it's for the first time just in this competition.
well, with that, why don't we skip ahead to Pencil Automatons with Ricochet?
All right. Yes. Let's talk about a track that I am crazy about.
Yeah, yeah, this was good.
Yeah, let me tell you about the strongest track in this round. So we start with the ad with like crazy shade being thrown to like
Yeah.
everybody.
I had to like pause the track the second I heard the clips. I was like, oh damn.
Like that was funny. Ad 54 seconds long, so did not meet criteria. Still funny. Um, so someone that I am married to went to school for music production engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And something that she's mentioned before is if you are crafting a song specifically for the radio, you have to get that song in front of someone whose job it is to decide what songs make it onto the radio and what songs do not.
Right.
And this person listens to a lot of music. And so the longer your intro is to your song, the build-up, the more likely it is they're simply going to skip to the next song.
Yep.
I felt like the intro for this song was too long. And that is about my only criticism. Because past that, this is a perfectly crafted top 40 radio gem.
Now, and it's funny too because there's kind of a flip to this. Is it's not that big of a deal if you're listening to all like 10 of these tracks in succession. Sometimes having an intro like that kind of gives people's ears like a chance to reset a little bit.
Sure. But yeah, if you're listening in a vacuum with the challenge in mind, that's something that I would say like, and not necessarily like for this competition, it's fine. But for anybody who wants to write stuff that sounds radio ready, that's just a comment that I have heard from someone who went to school for this. And I think it's valid. It's something to consider to make sure that you've thought about like, how much purpose is my intro serving by this length? Do I lose anything by trimming it down and just getting straight into the meat of it? Because when this song cuts in with the first chorus, I was instantly on board. I was immediately just like, yeah, I wish I was driving right now down a long road with like the top down. Oh, good. The chorus.
Yeah.
The chorus. Leaps and bounds. Best chorus of the round. It's got two halves. Both are fire. the first half of the chorus makes you want to rap along. The second half of the chorus makes you want to sing along. The verses are good. I've talked before forever about Lex's delivery. Yeah, I was nodding my head the whole time. There was auto-tune in this one, but this time I was like, yes, auto-tune forever and ever. Amen. Yeah, it was, man, it was just so well constructed. Like I didn't want it to stop.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really add too much onto that. That was one hell of a review, to be honest with you. I will point out one little thing that I can add, which is a lot of Sean's beats on this. I want to talk about like depth or like cohesion in a mix, and I want to point out how many elements there are sort of in Sean's beats and how they feel like, I don't know, a lot of his mixes have felt very cohesive. They've never felt like shallow. I want to compare like these specifically to the beats that have been on the Dangergrove tracks, which have been very thin, very sparse beats, right? And compare the Dangergrove beats to the Penzel Automaton beats, and there's this feeling of so much like depth.
If we were just going to listen to just the instrumentals.
Right, yep, that's specifically what I'm talking about on this, yeah.
Yeah, because I could still groove to this.
Yeah.
This instrumental is fire.
Yep. There's so much like depth and things sort of going on. Even it's weird too because I know that a lot of it is being done with sort of pads that are in the background to sort of give it that feeling of depth. But it doesn't matter because it works.
I just like it.
I agree. I don't even want to dive too much into it. I just I don't know. Every one of these tracks have been like banger kind of style beats. And I am so down with this. Yeah, and it's a fun thing too because a lot of people can try and make these style of beats, but like you have to have your mix be on point, right? The vocal or the volume rather for the drums.
What is being attempted here is not complex. The song subject is not complex. The goal of the beat is not complex. It's like I'm going to make the perfect song for when you're in a certain kind of groove.
Yep.
And it's not that it's complex. It's that it's hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right.
And everybody tries and fails. Like, this is a success of execution.
Yeah.
More than some kind of high concept thing.
No, I'm inclined to agree with you. Just trying to think through. I'm like, it's all in the mix, to be honest with you. There's just a very clean mix here. And then the depth, like I'd mentioned. And that's kind of it for what I'm thinking on this one. So we'll go ahead and I'll let this play through to Penzel Washington and Danny DeVito with Shades On.
Shades On. This one, tell me what you thought about this one. I'll be interested to hear your take on it. Again,
so I have the same critique, I think, for a lot of the tracks coming from this team, which is that this very sample-heavy, sample-driven production tends to grate on me very quickly, because a lot of the things just don't feel like they evolve as much. Like, it gets into one groove, and it kind of rides that groove until the end of the track. At best, you get a head nodder, but I tend to get tired of these songs before they finish, and that's because I'm just so like focused on the production or focused on the instrumental, and it's very hard for me to want to listen to these like from start to finish and just kind of like groove out to it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
An interesting comment. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting comment because what I wrote, like the first time I listened to it, my notes were, I was like, hey, this is pretty legit. I wrote, Bill Beats creates a great lo-fi after-hours kind of club sound.
Yep.
You know, I feel like that's his particular talent.
Yeah.
But second listen, honestly, it got repetitive to me.
Yeah.
I liked it better the first time than the second time. It kind of annoyed the ears because it just, I don't know, the beat didn't go anywhere for me. It didn't do much. And it's a short song, so the first time you hear it, you're like, yeah, it's all right. And the second time you realize there's not really much there.
No.
I liked the refrain where, hey, hey, like that was good. Makes you want to sing along. This is like I Don't from Shubzilla. Last round had that great, hey. It's the kind of thing that you want to do as an audience. Like, I don't necessarily know all the words to what you're rapping, but there's a part where I can go, hey.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm involved. I thought that was a good songwriting choice. But that being said, lyrically, I didn't feel like this gave you much to remember. Like, I didn't feel like there was something to kind of hang your hat on. Like, here's the bar or the punch that I want to leave you with. But I can recall the chorus, so there's something to that. It was kind of repetitive, but they didn't do it too many times where it really bothered me.
Yeah.
I thought this was a decent song. I thought it was a reasonably strong entry.
And this is my thing, is like, so I kind of want to dive deeper because I feel like I give this team a lot of shit when maybe...
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, so my thing is, like,
what's on your
Bill
mind,
Beats
man?
is, like, fantastic at creating these grooves that are, like, so good to sort of listen to, and he's very good at sort of creating either, like, a chill atmosphere or, like, these great sort of hip-hop vibes. And, like, I really have to hand it to him. But, like, sometimes it feels like you'll cut up, like, 2 bars from, say, a piano or, you know, like a saxophone or something and let it ride for, like, every part that has rap on it. And if you're just listening to the instrumental, like, it gets tiring so quickly. And, like, I know there are other elements in the mix, right? But my ears are always going to gravitate to that, like, one highest pitch thing. And I want to kind of call attention to the piano on this track. And think about it if you were just listening to the piano that plays on this track. It's like, it's a 2-bar clip, and it runs pretty much for every part that has the vocals on it. Minus the chorus, I think it is.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna grate on you so quickly, and I think that's my issue with most of the production that I'll hear from him. In that I love the groove, I love the sound choices, I love the mixing. And it's just like, I feel like there's some compositional things that are just lacking.
Yeah, I can't really disagree. Like, I'm sure there are people out there who, when they hear a certain like piano lick, they don't mind hearing it 100 times. It's like, that's so great. I just want that in the background of everything. I'm not that guy. It doesn't sound like you're that guy. And I don't think most people, to speak for most people, really are that kind of like really serious like record bin head, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a sort of a balance between making music for yourself, which is what gives you the passion, and then making music for an audience, which is what gives you listens. And that's certainly a line that I've danced on both sides of in the stuff that I've done. Like I've said before, a lot of the stuff that I do for me because I know that nobody else would do it. And, you know, I just want to enjoy something. But in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, like, you know, is this listenable to somebody else? Or is this just going to be, like, self-satisfying, you know, me-centric music? So it's something to consider. Like, if there's no rapping, if someone, like, there's a lot of instrumentals where you can go and just look up the instrumental on YouTube and listen to it, and it's like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And you can just groove to it. Like, I listen to hip-hop instrumentals when I work sometimes. And you can really tell the ones where it's like somebody put a lot of love into it and there's a lot of dynamics in it versus just something that was just sort of cranked out.
All right. It's funny that you finished that thought right as we're hitting the fade out here. We've got about 10 seconds, and then we're going to jump straight into Pretty Good with Bear Mace.
It's totally intentional.
I know. You just saw the countdown, obviously.
This was interesting. I'll tell you what I liked more than anything. I liked the concept of this song. Like, I've never heard a song about macing cat collars.
Yep.
It's like, that's cool. There should be a song about that, and I'm glad they did it.
Yeah.
You know? Add Too Long again. Now, I knew, because I know Klopp, that he wasn't really going to do exactly what he was told to do because he's Klopp, and that's what he does. You tell him to do, you must do this. He's like the France of nerdcore. It's like, well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna make a sandwich. It's gonna be delicious, and it's gonna show up on my Instagram. But so they did like this what do you call it, like an infomercial style at the beginning, which I thought was creative. So didn't meet the parameters, but I did think it was creative. If you remember last year, they did the Coming This Fall, which was Through the Mud, which is one of the all-time great VPC tracks. But this was good. I thought this was actually a good song for Shubzilla showing off some of her writing chops. I thought this was the highest level and execution of writing for her the whole competition, and I liked it.
Yeah.
So respect to that. I thought she really this is gonna sound mean, but I feel like the instrumentals have kind of been carrying this team so far in this competition. And this was the first round where I felt like she matched that level of execution.
Yeah, but do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because that's where I want to...
Step in.
Yeah, okay. So this is probably my least favorite cloth instrumental for the team. Like, for this, 5 rounds for the VPC, whatever, we're in round 4. I was not feeling this one. It was frantic, it felt chaotic, it felt, didn't have cohesion. I'll
tell you, it didn't feel like a radio song to me.
I'll agree with that for sure.
And the main reason to me was the chorus. The chorus was super syncopated. So anytime you have a chorus with complex rhythm, it makes it very difficult for the layperson to be able to sing along with that. Like, this is not a chorus that you can remember.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
even just outside of like the syncopation and the chorus and everything, because this is such a hip hop track, but this is almost like amelodic. If you look at the instrumental, like, try and hum this song. Like, what sticks out to you about this song, like, melodically?
I cannot do that.
Because, yeah, it's all over the place. Like, I don't remember this besides, like, the crazy drums by the time that I'm done with the track.
No, that is true. I could not hum it for you.
Yeah, that's kind of where I fall on this one.
Yeah, I will say, overall, I did like it. I think Shubzilla has a lot of good writing in her, and I think this competition is very hard. Everybody writes at a different pace and in a different style.
Sure.
And all kinds of junk comes up in life. So I don't want to just rag on somebody for like, oh, you did a song that was too simple in the VPC, because the VPC is hard.
Yeah.
It's just this marathon. But that said, I like to hear it. I like to hear it when she really kind of shows her chops.
Yeah.
And so this was enjoyable for me from a lyricist's perspective.
Yeah, I can agree with that. You got to give respect to, and one, I've enjoyed a lot of the things that have come out of this team so far.
Yeah, they both got a real good, unique sound, and different parts of it are going to hit at different times. I've worked with Josh before, which is an adventure. He's just as you can probably guess, he's just a very opinionated guy. He has a really strong point of view. It's not a bad thing. It's not a criticism. It's just, an artist thing. And like when you dial in on something, like I read some of the stuff that he was doing for this track. I think it was this one where he was having to go back and like manually change levels on every single drum.
Yeah.
He's a perfectionist,
Yeah.
and he's kind of obsessive about his craft.
Yep.
And so when he has a certain sound that he's going for in his head, he's going to dig until he gets there. Whether that's the direction that somebody else might think the song should have gone is a conversation that can be had.
Sure.
So this time it seems like it didn't hit as strongly for you, but I did want to give props to Shubs.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's wrap things up. This is going to be a short review video because there's only 8 tracks, and here we are on the last one.
That is a nice thing.
This is the CamoKrunkulator. So who was the producer on this? Do you know?
Nope, that's a really good point. I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably.
Last round was Robo-Rob.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember who it was in round 2. That was a good track too, though. Round 2 was, they called themselves Crunk on Titan, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the producer was there either.
Wasn't
someone
there a
who's
guy
well
named
connected,
Cam
so it might
3
be
in Wreck the System, or... Do you know who I'm talking about?
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, there was like Cam, it
sounds familiar. I don't know who's in that group, besides Ali.
I think he was one of the producers or something for Wreck the System. I'm terrible with this, but the name Cam, sounds familiar. So that might be the producer on this one, but to be honest with you, I'm guessing, so I have no idea.
Okay. Tell me, I want to hear what you thought, because I have something that I want to say, but I want to hear from you first.
Yeah, so I think loosely this was in my top 3 scores for this round in terms of production. Might have been tied for top 4, I'm not sure. But basically, I guess what I wanted to get to is this has a lot of the same hallmarks that we had in Penzel Automatons, and was kind of up there for me in that as well. Like, all the conversation that we had earlier about depth when we were listening to Ricochet, all of that applies here as well. There are a lot of like trap elements that I feel are incorporated into this track that at some times feel a little bit too cheesy for me. I don't know how to really articulate what I'm feeling, but they almost feel a little bit cliched, to the point where it detracts a little bit, which is why I don't think I scored this track as highly as I did for Ricochet. Yeah, some of the elements in this, some of the choices almost feel cliche, but they all feel like extremely well done and well produced for what they're trying to be. So, like, I can't dock it too hard. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like terribly original in terms of the production, but it's very well done for like the style of beat that it's trying to be. So that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you just said. Like the cheesiness, I agree. Lack of originality but high execution, absolutely agree. I wrote, delivery is better than the lyrical complexity. So this is a great song to listen to as a vocalist if you want to hear words said a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Voice is an instrument, you know, and just like if you play guitar, you want to learn how to play a certain chord different ways to get a different sound out of it. The voice is the same. So you have to be able to say words in a different way, I think, to make it more interesting. And this is a great example of that. This vocalist has always been good at that. He's just interesting to listen to. You know, says things in a way that makes you want to hear them. But the thing that I really wanted to say about this track is that Ballin' on a Budget was the name of the winning team from 3 weeks ago on Project Runway.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I can't even right now.
And this is more than coincidence. I am convinced. This is not tinfoil hat time. This is somebody who watches Project Runway and heard that team name and said, that's my song.
I don't know whether I should applaud or put my head down in shame. Like...
You can't sneak these by me. I watch Project Runway too.
All right.
The phrase, I don't know, it's kind of like so Modest Mouse is a band that finds a phrase they like and they say it 500 times and call it a song, right? So I felt a little bit of Modest Mousiness out of this, where it's like, here's a phrase we like and we're just going to say it a lot. And it wore thin for me, like the staccato delivery of it didn't, I don't know, like I didn't like that, and it was throughout the whole thing. There was this very staccato verbal delivery, and I'm sure it was a choice because it's not the only delivery he has. He has other songs that I've heard where he doesn't do that. And I appreciate that it kind of makes a vocal difference, but I wasn't as into that. That said, this rap was really well executed.
Mm-hmm.
So the chorus, again, it's in 2 halves. First half didn't really work, but the second half, and watch me flex on them, that was like with the autotune, that was really good.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing where you just want to be like driving or, you know, whatever you're going to do when you listen to music. I don't know what people do when they listen to music. I'm not normal. But verse 1 was really, really hot. Could definitely imagine this on the radio. Like, this is totally the kind of thing that I would have heard on the radio back in Seattle if I'd been channel surfing. And I don't know if I would have stayed on the station, but it sounded right at home there. It's got that earworminess.
I agree.
Where just like that kind of 4 count just stays in your head. And it's the kind of song that makes people want to listen to it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I would suggest for the writing of this song. So in verse 2, there's this whole section where all the lines end with, yeah. I feel like that needed more voices on it to invite the listener in as part of the audience.
Yeah.
It was just him going, yeah. It's like I want a group of people going, yeah,
Sure.
so that I can feel drawn into that. So that would be I guess I would say a constructive suggestion. But yeah, like you said, I thought it was really well executed. Simple concept, well executed.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it, man.
Yeah. In general, I do have to say, I thought this was probably one of the most positive listening experiences that I had for any round of the VPC, and it
I would
might
agree
just
with that.
might just be because it's getting shorter. Like,
That helped.
yeah.
Definitely helped. No, I was actually sad. I was sad to see so few entries. I was hoping that more teams would stick it out.
I agree.
And I know it's hard, and half the country's on fire, and the other half's underwater. It's like it's not easy.
I'd like to see 15 for the next round. That'd be good. But
Do you feel that's likely?
no. But I'd like to.
This is the first VPC ever where there's been a round with more entries than the previous round.
Yeah.
As far as I know, in the history of the VPC, and I've been tracking numbers since the beginning, I've never seen a VPC where one round had more entries than the round before it.
Mm-hmm.
And so all bets are off. Who knows how many tracks there could be in round 5.
Yeah. No, I would love to see more entries in the 5th round, just to kind of finish it out.
But yeah, this was strong. I liked it. I was excited for it, and I was not let down.
Yeah.
There's some heavy competition, and I still do not know who's going to win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a different winner every round so far. I expect that trend to continue. Penzel Automatons has not won a round yet, have they?
You know, to be honest, I don't think so, but I feel like they've been in the top 3 for every round.
Pretty good. Won round 1. Round 2 was Dangergrove, and then round 3 was Penzel and Danny DeVito with the Luther. I think that Penzel Automatons take round 4, and then who knows what happens in round 5.
Yeah, I'm taking a quick look here at the scores, which actually I hadn't.
The official scores?
No,
the actual scores. Our scores. The unofficial scores.
Are the official scores even up? I was gonna.
To anyone who cares about how we score things, like I was not scoring based on challenge criteria. Right. I was just scoring based on vocals. So if someone went over time I didn't dock for that.
Mm-hmm. So I just kind of sorted through, but it looks like our top 3 were Penzel Automatons, Lexicohm, and CamoKrunkulator this time around. But, you know, and to be honest, it wasn't even that close. Our number 1 and number 2 were fairly close, and then CamoKrunkulator kind of at a solid 3rd, and then Silverbulletsundown 4th behind that.
Yeah, it's an interesting spread this week. There's always a bit of agreement and disagreement.
Yeah.
I haven't crunched the numbers for the total scores yet.
Mm-hmm.
As of last time, let me see. Penzel Automatons was holding a very narrow lead in our overall scoring, and so I expect that with this score to extend a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, still anybody's game.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I want to remind our viewers that the winner of our scoring gets absolutely nothing. There's no reason to court our favor whatsoever.
None whatsoever. We just provide very pretentious criticism and roll credits.
As advertised.
But yeah, I'll kind of leave these scores up here for a second. But you know, to be honest with you, I think that's it. I'd look forward to hearing any kind of feedback or thoughts that any of our listeners might have on this, or sort of what people would like to see us incorporate.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. I want to do that thing where you like point down at the subscribe button and be like, "Yep, there we go." Yeah, no, I would be a terrible YouTuber, man. But yeah, no, I'd honestly like to hear people's feedback, sort of what they would like to hear considered, or sort of what they look for in criticism for their tracks, or anyone else's.
Ultimately, what I'm going for is pretentiousness, but just below that, in terms of my goals, constructiveness. I like to think, for my own ego, that because of something I said, somebody was able to look at something in a new way. And so if there is a way for us to provide that more effectively, do let us know.
Yeah, sure.
And we will strive. We will strive to please you.
Or just kind of tell you to fuck off on the next review. But
It's a 50-50.
50-50. All right, man. I say we call it here. I'm gonna grab myself another beer, and with any luck, we'll catch you guys after round 5.
Hey, I know you're in Atlanta. Stay safe. Stay dry.
I'll try to.
And catch you in round 5.
Take care, guys.